All right, Brian from Garage Mahal. Got some new DeWalt toys. We'll try them out later. But we are working on a Hyundai Sonata, and we are doing rear brakes. And actually, I just got done doing one side, and I figured I'd film the other side. So we got these nice, sleek racing brakes that we put on the back. And not that we're going to race the car, but we just want to make it stop easier, quicker, and safer. So, all right, so you want to make sure you have your tire off, obviously. And then these brake calipers definitely need some TLC, so we're going to clean those up. But it's all a 14 millimeter on the back here. So we'll just loosen this up. Hopefully everybody's got a good angle that they can see. I'll do that. Usually I like my little power tools and stuff, but I don't think we'll need them today on this. We'll probably end up using them. Okay. Usually they don't pop up like that, but anyway, it makes life a little bit easier. All right, we're gonna grab, I think I left my brake hanger over on this side. Yep, okay. So a nifty little S-hook, so you can pull your caliper off, and then that's got all sorts of gunk in it. Alright, usually I kind of put it right there. Make sure you don't put any pressure on the brake line. And then I use this Simply Green aluminum cleaner. It's actually an aircraft cleaner. It's pretty cool. But make sure you clean that boot off so when we go to press it in, and we'll use that tool, which is pretty cool. I'll show you guys how that works in a second. All right, let's get these other bolts off. I know these are going to be stubborn because they were stubborn on the other side. Okay. Not too bad. Yeah, hopefully you can get a good angle on that. Okay. Use some power tools to expedite this whole job a little bit for you guys at home. So that goes off. And it's 4 bolts, it's nothing dramatic. There we go. Loosen that a little bit more. Oh, that's really tight. All right, let's go back to manual. Yeah, why is that? Why are you being so difficult? All right, let's write some WD on that. My delusion is it's probably rusted on one side. It's not happy about coming out, that's for sure. Let's go back in a little bit. I'll spray it a little bit more. Usually you don't run across this too often, but when you do, you're going to go back in and out, get the lube on it. usually they're not that difficult, but it's always when you're filming something. Yeah, there's some rust buildup on that. So if you got a little bit of a brush, which I got a couple over here, just brush that rust off a little bit. So I'll go back in a little bit better, a little bit easier. Okay, so that caliper comes out, and see how stiff they are? They should move a lot easier than that. So we're gonna polish that rail up, and you can either use a little brass brush, get in there and clean that up on the other side, get some of that bigger stuff off, or you get a little Dremel with a brush attachment, and you just clean that up real nice and quick. Make sure you wear safety glasses, wear a mask, not breathing all this garbage in. You want to clean them up really good. Get all the rust and the corrosion off, because your brake pad needs to slide on these. Okay. Use a wire brush to get some spots that we can't get with the rotary brush. Okay, so when we get this off too, these should move freely, and they do, but I like to pop them off and then ultra disc caliber lube, and then you just want to like put a generous amount on there. Make sure you get the whole thing nice and lubed it pretty good, and make sure it goes back on. Let's pull this one off. The other one's got a little, looks like somebody put some anti-seize on there. I don't know if I would have used that, but put some silicone in there mixed in. Let me push that back in and then just swish it around a little bit. Alright, and we're good to go there. Now, these little suckers, I like to call them, these are a Japanese standard screw, and usually you can't get them off too easy, and you need something like this. Make sure I got that loose. Okay. This is a Vessel Japanese industrial standard impact screwdriver, and basically you put a regular screwdriver in here, you're just going to strip that right out. So use one of these things, and then see how that kind of twisted. Hopefully you saw that. All right, it's still an L. All right, so good. So usually, oh, and that's what the pack of that looks like. That's your Vessel impact screwdriver. Okay, so typically you just can't get these things out. And I didn't even put any WD-40 on it, and a couple hits with that, and this thing backed it right out. So if you've ever had a Japanese import car and you can't get these out, this is why. Because you need this tool. Like I said, and you save these screws so you can use them again. And let's see what else that rotor is. Okay, so that rotor comes out. That's your old one, and I'll put that over here. And did I bring a new rotor over here? I did. Okay. So here is your new rotor. Handy dandy Leatherman tool. Alright, so you got your screws, so you want to make sure you line those up. And then we put these vessels back in. Screws, with the vessel tool. Alright, then you tighten it down with this. And hand tight's good, you don't have to go any He-Man tight, as long as it just holds that in place. Okay, that's good. All right, so this thing is my little hydraulic rear brake press. I love this thing. Basically, push the button and it shoots this piston out, so it pushes that in. No muss, no fuss. You can also use a standard brake kit press as well. But anyway, how this works is just hit the button and then see how it pushes that piston right in. And this is also good in case you have a problem with your rear piston. You can see immediately if you're going to have a problem. Anyway, I love that tool. Alright, that's it for that. And I'll put all the links to all this fancy stuff, as well as the standard stuff, in case you guys want to use that. That's that. So that's done and clean. We can put this bracket back in. A little more neater and more organized, but it's been a hectic day here at the shop at Garage Mahal. Let's try and get. Put them on entirely the wrong way. See, I told you it was a hectic day. Okay, here we go. Okay, once you get it started, it should go in relatively easy. This one, that top one, I know, it's gonna be a pain, but. Nope, someone's calling me. Okay. All right, that's 55 pounds of torque, but I always like to make sure I hand tighten, make sure I got that completely tight and safe for everybody. Okay, so we're nice and tight there. Let's close that up nice and tight so we can use that later on. All right, so next, I like using good old fashioned red marine grease when I lube up my caliper slides. And just a quick little dab on the other side is all you need. And obviously don't get it on the rotor. But make sure you give yourself a generous amount. Clean your gloves off. And then got your new brake pads. And it has a little harmonic sensor. I like putting that on the back so you can kind of hear it better up and through the car. All right, and then you got these little rubber clips to make sure that, or not rubber, you got these little metal clips to make sure that when you put your brake shoes in, kind of push up against them and make sure that they move freely back and forth like that. Because if they don't, you either got to readjust this or you got the wrong wrong size brake pads, which happens. Alright, so you put this brake rotor, brake caliper back on, push these slides back in. Okay, get our little hooks. Like I said, shop's a little messy today, but my wife would argue and say it's messy every day, but life of a mechanic. Okay. I always do these by hands because there tend to be a lighter bolt that's in here. And you want to put, I usually kind of like squeeze this together a little bit just to keep that from moving, because sometimes it'll rotate around and you won't get the right amount of torque on it. You can see it kind of like rocking back and forth. So as soon as we get to the point where I think it's going to spin, I'll just kind of put my thumb in there and grip down on it. Usually you can put like a little crescent wrench in there if you got one that's thin enough. Okay. Alright. And then that is your quick and easy rear brake job. So that job is done. One thing we have to do now is put the wheels back on both sides. And other than that, that is it. Quick and easy. Anyway. Always make sure you check your front brakes too while you're at it. These were good. But anyway, Brian from Garage Mahal, thanks for watching, being safe out there, and thumbs up, and thank you for subscribing as always. Okay, take care, be safe.